potential Golden Boot winner. And let's start with that market on Pinnacle. Kylian Mbappe, surprise to no one, the favorite to go on and win the Golden Boot at this tournament. You can find him on Pinnacle at plus 451 to do just that. He's actually a joint favorite alongside Harry Kane at plus 451. The top goal scorer from qualifying with 14, Romelu Lukaku, comes in at plus 1406. Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo, who had 10 over the course of qualifying for Portugal, comes in at plus 1202. So the usual big names, the usual suspects, including among that list. Is there value in making a play for one of those players, or are you going to look a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit off the beaten path here in terms of a potential Golden Boot winner?
No, I'm staying near the head of the market because I think there's some serious value to be had in, first off, Cristiano Ronaldo at plus 1202. I mean, we're talking about the record international goal scorer. We're talking about the record scorer at the European Championships. And yes, he's been playing in what we might call a bad league, but he's also broke the record for goals scored in a single season in that league. So he's red hot. 10 goals in qualifying. And he's playing for, in my book, a team that have got a really good chance of going far. They should have, in my opinion, reached the semi-finals at the very least. That gives him a great chance of, playing 6 games to rack up the goals there. A kind group against teams like Turkey, who struggle defensively. Georgia struggle defensively. I think this is a bit too big of a price. I think it's priced based on the fact that he might not start a couple of these games, but we're talking about the captain of Portugal and, like I said, the all-time record scorer in international football. He's going to play. Portugal are going to create chances for him, and he's probably going to score another 5 or 6 to add to his Euros tally.
Anyone else that you consider making, or is that kind of your one and only play?
No, I'm going to take Romelu Lukaku as well at plus 1406. He had an absolute mare at the World Cup. I think we both agree on that. He had a really bad World Cup. He had just a bad season before the World Cup, didn't he? He got absolutely done with Inter missing loads of chances in the Champions League final, and came off the bench and was almost the reason that Belgium were eliminated single-handedly from that competition. But he has bounced back with an absolute vengeance under Dominik Szoboszlai. 14 goals in qualifying. He played 550 minutes. Just 550 minutes. That's a goal per 90 average of over 2. Now, I'm not saying he's going to score 2 goals a game at the Euros because that would be absolutely obscene, but I do think that Belgium are a team that are top-heavy. They need to score goals to win matches because they won't be keeping many clean sheets. They've got a kind group, in my opinion, that I think that they should score plenty of goals, have great opportunities to do that. And I think Lukaku's price at plus 1406 is big. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, group goal scoring is the key to winning this gong. There's very few players that actually score most of their goals in the knockouts. It is generally do you damage in the group stage, maybe nick 1 or 2 when you get to the knockout rounds. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Lukaku hit 3 or 4 in this group and put himself in a great position.
It's hard to look past Kylian Mbappe, even at that number at plus 451, just based upon how much France is going to go to attack. And I think the Netherlands are a very robust defensive side. I think there's goals for the taking. I expect them to go very deep in this tournament. And Mbappe is the focal point. He did it at the World Cup in a flash. He can come up with a couple goals. I just put him a little bit ahead of Harry Kane. I love how Kane takes penalties. He's on set piece duty for England. He's always going to get lots of chances, but he loves to drop deep. And there's other goals in this England side in terms of Bellingham and Foden, even Bukayo Saka. I actually kind of like, if you can find it somewhere, a player total for goals in the tournament. Saka over 2 is a play that I wouldn't shy away from because he's consistent down that right side. And for me, he's just a fixture, an absolute fixture in Gareth Southgate's team. So I put Mbappe a little bit ahead of Harry Kane, and even at plus 451, that wouldn't be a play that I'll shy away from. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Artem Dovbyk of Ukraine, I think that they can win a couple rounds, and he scored joint 5th most in European football playing with Girona. this season. He's the focal point for Ukraine as well, a team that is workmanlike. I don't think there's a lot of goals in that group stage, but I think Ukraine will need them, and I think that he will be the provider of them. You can play him at plus 49.21. If you look at it, joint top goal scorer was 5 in the last Euro. I think ballpark will be around the same number this year. That's not out of range. Another one I would consider, Alvaro Morata at plus 1996. You say, who's going to score for the Spain side? They have so much possession. They create so many chances. They're XG darlings just in terms of what they can be in this tournament for me. And I'm not sure if Williams or Joselu or anyone else will provides the reliability that Morata does at big competitions. It's not a sexy name. It's not a sexy player by any means, but nearly at plus 2,000 for him to get a share of this, especially a team that if they can upset a Germany, potentially just the way that things line up come the knockout round, it wouldn't surprise me if they're a semifinalist at this tournament either. So there might be a little bit of value in backing an Alvaro Morata in terms of the goal scorers. Those would be my 3 recommendations in terms of the Golden Boot. What about
I've got
player?
a couple of bigger ones if you want.
Oh, go ahead. Let's dig in. Let's keep on listing them off.
So I was going to go Dominik Szoboszlai at, well, I was going to, when I did my notes the other day, he was at plus 24,541. He's now at plus 15,025. So there's been a huge move to the point where I probably am not going to put that up as a bet because the juice and the value is probably gone. I mean, he's not going to finish as the top scorer, let's be clear. But he's got a chance of being fairly competitive. He takes penalties, he takes free kicks. Literally everything goes through him for Hungary. 4 goals in qualifying as well. If Hungary asks to do anything at the tournament, he's going to be the driving force. But yeah, as I said, the price has gone. Price on another guy has held, though, plus 20,267. It's a big old number. And it's Switzerland striker Zeki Amdouni. He was really impressive in qualifying. He was not a starting fixture, but I think he's nailed down a starting berth now. 6 goals in 490 minutes in qualifying, and he's playing in a side that did create a lot of good chances in that qualifying as well. I think he could be dangerous. I think Switzerland, I believe they can get out the group and get past at least one knockout round. If they are to do something, then I think he could be a really interesting proposition as a big price goal scorer to cheer on. I mean, 4 goals might get it done for you. You just never know.
One other name I'll throw into the mix. Might as well continue to throw out names. What about Memphis Depay at plus 3,360? Depay scores goals. Like, again, not the sexiest of players, but I'd be shocked if he doesn't start in an attacking role for Ronald Koeman just because he loves the player. 45 international goals. He's creeping up. And if 5 goals in this tournament, he will go level with Robin van Persie for the most in the history of the Netherlands. He takes pens as well. Would he take pens or would it be Virgil van Dijk? I think it would probably side with the attacking player for the Dutch. I always look at that when I look in that category, which is another reason why Szoboszlai, it's a name depending on the number. Everything goes through them. He takes penalties for that side. It's an interesting one for me. Other than that, I wouldn't go too much further. I know oftentimes there's a tendency to want to back a big name player to go on and score goals in this tournament. For example, a Robert Lewandowski. He doesn't score in big tournaments because Poland doesn't create chances. He only scored 3 goals over the course of qualifying. So fade players like that, I think a lot of it's about what the teams are able to manufacture and actually do in terms of creating. And the player needs to play. That's the only reason why I want to fade Cristiano Ronaldo a little bit, and I'll stay off that market. I think Portugal will score a boatload of goals, but who will score them? There's so many different players that can score in different ways. And when push comes to shove, when this tournament goes deeper, does Cristiano Ronaldo hold down that starting role? Or is he a player that you bring on in games? And is he as effective in games when you bring them on? He's just a little bit of a boomer bust for me. That's why I'll stay away from Cristiano Ronaldo on an otherwise intriguing team. I even kind of looked at Bruno Fernandes, to be honest with you, because if he's the player that's, if it's not Ronaldo, he's the one that's going to take penalties. He's the one that's going to take set pieces for a team, I think, that's going to, be a big threat, and there could be a lot of goals scored in Group
Mm.
F as well.
It is just worth mentioning. If you think we're being daft going for big prices, think again, because there are recent Euros. There have been some real surprise names involved in the top scorer. 2008, you had Roman Pavlyuchenko. He didn't win
Yeah.
it, but he was a very close second. You had Hakan Yakin as well of Switzerland. I would imagine he'd be around the 200 to 1 marker before the tournament. 2012, you had another Russian player. Forget his name. What was his name? I think he finished joint top. So yeah, Jagoev. He finished joint top with Mario Gomez, Fernando Torres, Mario Balotelli. And then obviously in 2016, we had Patrick Schick last time out, 2020. He was a big price, 200 to 1-ish. And then, the 2016 edition, it was won by Griezmann, but you had Dimitri Payet come in joint second and Luis Nani come in second and, players like that you probably wouldn't expect. So take a punt, basically, because there's always one player that comes out of nowhere that is all of a sudden right in the mix. And I think 2020, Emil Forsberg, I have a feeling that he was knocking around as well. I think he finished with 4 goals in that tour. He did, 4 goals, the same as Kane and Lukaku. And you just imagine Emil Forsberg, midfielder from Sweden, you're going to be looking at a huge price. So it is worth just having a little look and just throwing a few pennies at a few big prices that you think might start, get a few chances, and take advantage.
I think Germany can score goals in this tournament as well. It's just with Gundogan, he's really the penalty set piece taker. I just don't know if the attacking three will be able to provide enough. Just really quickly on Mbappe, because I think it comes down to, how France does and whether players can outscore Kylian Mbappe. He's been prolific at the World Cup. We saw him in Qatar. He scored 12 in 14 games in World Cup matches he's played in. He's never scored in a Euro, I don't believe. So this could be the time for Mbappe to absolutely explode in this tournament. But some of these, bigger prices, it's worthwhile to make a play or two. Just need to hit one. And if there's a player that you happen to like, their chances in the context that they're playing in, by all means, go on and back them.